Guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video and the channel if you love MMA as much as I do. And now, as a Jorge Masvidal fan, this is how I feel about Colby Covington as a man. Now, look, as far as how he talks before the fights and after the fights, that's up to him. And really, look, and I know I'm a Jorge Masvidal fan, but I'm not going to say what I'm about to say or what I have said because I like Jorge Masvidal. I'm actually pretty unbiased on my channel. Okay? As far as what he said about Jorge, and really he didn't even mention Jorge's kids. The fact that he said them at all did trigger Masvidal, and I understand that as a man. But the fact that it was a professional fight that they had and Jorge couldn't do anything about it, he had plenty of time to prepare for that fight with Colby Covington. Actually, he had more time to prepare for that fight than Colby did, because Colby had just had a fight back in November, and Masvidal didn't have a fight up until like April or whatever that same year, and he wasn't active. So there's really no excuses for why Jorge couldn't do something about it in the cage. That I agree with that. I'm trying to get a good snapshot from my video. That way I can get a good thumbnail. That's Jorge's fault. I agree. Now, after the fight, now I agree, that should have been it. It should have been over. After the fight, they both publicly said they would hurt each other if they saw each other in the street. Jorge Masvidal said that Colby is a guy that if he saw in the streets, he'll give him everything he got to break his effing jaw. Jorge said that. Colby also said that Jorge knows that him and I cannot see each other in the streets, because if we see each other in the streets of Miami, I'm going to dust him. I'm going to beat him unconscious. I'm going to do this and that to him. So he was saying that stuff. And he was asked flat out, would you give Jorge a rematch? Especially if the money was right. He said, man, I'll give it to him in the streets if he wanted to. Colby said that several times. He said all those things. Okay? And everyone knows in a street fight, it's not fair. Okay, and personally, I don't have a problem with how Jorge did his business with Colby. Because Colby said he'll fight him in the street. Okay, and I don't agree that a lot of people, Colby never said that he got jumped on by several guys. He said the first claim last year around this time that Masvidal hit him from the side, hit him from behind. Well, that doesn't go with the evidence with Colby's face. His tooth was broken. His cheeks were messed up and his mouth was messed up. He got punched in the face. That means he saw Jorge. Now, more recently, Colby's changed up his story. He said that he saw Jorge's face. That means he couldn't have attacked you from behind or from the side. That means at some point you saw him face to face. Okay? Now, y'all can say whatever you want about how Jorge handled his business. I have no problem with how he handled it. You know? Colby basically said after the fight, when he said he would fight him in the streets, whether he meant that or not, that's not Jorge's problem. He shouldn't have been saying that after the fight. Now look, even as a Masvidal fan, I'm pretty unbiased. If Colby was asked, would you give him a rematch? He said, look, man, I would if he earns a rematch. Or if he would have just said, no, that's a done deal. He has to deal with this for the rest of his life. That's his problem. He was easy work. He's not even worth me fighting for, which Jorge was in that cage. It was easy for Colby. But no, he said, I'll fight you in the street. He said that. So guess what? That's Colby's problem. And how Colby's handling it, I find that very unmanly. That is very pathetic. And honestly, I feel like people defending Colby Covington after what he said are pathetic too. Because you can't say one thing saying, I'll do this or that to you, and then you're not going to do it. Especially when the man is in front of you. That's why I'm defending Jorge, and that's why I will continue to defend Jorge in this case. Now, if Colby had never said he would fight him in the street, if he would have said that's it, and Jorge still went and jumped him, then yeah, I'm completely with you. Even as a Jorge fan, I'd still be a Jorge fan, but I say, hey man, Colby's right this time. He don't have to prove nothing to you. He already did it. But no, Colby said he was going to fight him for that reason. That's cowardly. That's just how I feel about that, you know. As a man, I can't respect him.